All right, guys, back again. Sorry, I had a little bit of technical difficulty, and I figured why not just go ahead and grab a bite to eat while I'm dealing with technical difficulty. So I just killed two birds with one stone, basically. So while I was away, I let this thing dry. I sealed it. Now that I've got my yellow completed and what I'm going to be doing, the color I'm going to be, how I'm going to be doing my base. It's what you guys pretty much seen. It's just the three-step process between the yellows and MIG. Now, this is dried, and I have sealed it, so it's good to go. It's ready for the decal stage. So I've already cut out the decals that I'll be using. I will be using microsol microset. So something else you'll see how to use as well. Microsol microset is a two-step process in order to adhere the decals to the model. It helps eliminate some of the outlining around decals, so it looks like it's painted on. You'll hear everyone say, once you use microsol, you're not, you're never going to look back, which it's true. This stuff works really well. And so without further ado, I'll get the decal in the water and get it going. So as I'm waiting for that to do its thing, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of the first step of the solution on the model first. I like to number mine just to keep myself from forgetting. Hard to see. Microset is first application. It's the one that has like a vinegary smell. Again, put this stuff where you're not gonna just be mindful of it. You don't want to tip it over. Especially the microset. But like I said, it's got like a vinegar smell to it. Smells absolutely wretched. So I'm going to put the microset on first over the area that I'll be putting the decal on. I'll put a generous amount on it. And see if the decal's ready. Usually these decals, when you get them, the newer sheets don't take long to get ready to go on the model. So I've got it on where I want it. Just going to center it up. All right. And it is just as simple as that. Just put it where you want it. Normally I have Q-tips here. I like to use Q-tips, but I'm not going to get up from the station to go grab any right now. Just dab some paper towels on it. And that's where that bad boy's going. Now we have to get the decals on before we move on to the next stage. And the next stage will be using the AK interactive streaking grime. Actually, we've got a few more stages to go on. I'll have to glue those tracks back on because I'll be painting the tracks and painting all the silver areas before I put the microsol on. All right. Now on to the second step of the process, microsol. The microsol is a solution that reacts with the microset and helping conform the decal to the area. Now this is going on a flat surface, so not really much of an issue. But that's all you got to do to put a decal on with microset microsol. It's that damn simple. It's not that big of a deal. Time and the solution and the chemical reaction will do the rest. Now, you can put them across like transitions, put decals across transitions, and the microsol will soften up the decal and allow it to be take shape of whatever you're trying to get it to conform to. All right, so let's go ahead and put some more decals on. I'm going to go ahead and put 5 decals or so on this tank. I'm not going to overload it with decals, but I will put a few on there because I do like the decals. Get a microset. I always try to get in the habit of putting the lid back on it as soon as I'm done using it. Helps with spills because you can't spill it if the damn lid's on it. Get the old tweezers out. Yeah, before I didn't do a whole lot of broadcasting from YouTube, but it's supposed to be a little bit easier. So if my simple monkey mind can grasp going through YouTube to do these and posting them through Patreon, you guys should see more of these. Now, I know I've talked about how I want to do more. I'm going to do more. It's just here lately, work has just been very murderous. Not really allowing me to do much. For obvious reasons. All right, now let's go ahead and put on. I mean, another way of, I like to make sure I'm not mixing my brushes up. The microsol solution, it smells like it's got like a cleaning smell to it, like some type of a cleaning chemical. So that's how I tell them apart. That, and I normally like to keep my brushes close to whichever one it is. Like I'll have these here. That's my brush for my set, and that's the brush for my saw. All right, let's go ahead and do the big fist on the, nope, let's do the front. I got Unification Wars Eagle I'm going to put on the front here. Really like these decals. They look really awesome. And another project that I have coming up for myself, it'll be a project that'll be next year's project. I'm going to finish up these Imperial Fists for Adepticon. These are what I plan on bringing to Adepticon. I wanted to try to bring my other project that I'm going to be working on with me as well, but just realistically, I've got several Warlords I've got to get done before Adepticon. Just timing is just not enough time to get both my projects done and be able to keep clients' projects flowing out the door, because those are important to keep going. Sorry. Now on my tanks, you know, it may not bother you or anyone else for that matter very much, but I went ahead and went through all my tanks and removed. I say that and I look right over at my Spartan and notice that I didn't try to remove all the Imperial Eagles from my tanks. I did it from my Achilles. Apparently, I've got to do it still to that blasted Spartan door right there. I hate when that happens. But for heresy purposes, you know, they're not supposed to have the Imperial Eagles now. That comes later. So, still working around. Once these dry, no, it's kind of hard to tell. Let's see if I can get the camera to work with me and get some light. Okay, see that? See how the decal's rippling? Like a ripple effect? Don't freak out if it does that for you. That's exactly what it's supposed to do. That is the micro sol part of the process. Yeah, I had to look at the label, just make sure I was doing it right. That's the micro sol part of the process that is softening the decal and allowing it to conform to whatever shape it's on. Like I said, these are done on flat surfaces, so there's not much to worry about on them. That outline you see, the shinier, clear outline, that is the part that the micro sol will help dissolve. And then once you've matte varnished the tank, it should blend away, and all you should see is the image of the decal and not the outline. The outline should just go away. All right. I know some people might be they're new into this, new into the hobby, new into the heresy, new into painting tanks. I'd be curious of why I would be putting decals on at this stage. Well, I like to weather my tanks. I like to have weathering all over everything. So I'm going to weather the decals right along with the rest of the paint. So at this point in time, during the painting process, I have to stop, put decals on, let them dry, and then we can weather the decals. Whoa, whoa. Get this bad boy all set up. That looks good to me. Go ahead and drop this other decal in while I start working this one. Go ahead and get microsol on this one. And again, it won't hurt to go ahead and throw a little bit more microsol on the rest of the decals again, because all it's doing is helping soften it up and work that decal into place and delete some of that outline layer. There, we got that. The other one in here should be good. Yes. Well. All right, get this all worked into place. More microsol. On there. I just so happen to have a spare set of Spartan doors, so I put those on this Achilles instead of the regular Land Raider doors. Whoa. Regular Land Raider doors have got weird shapes and sizes to them. I wanted just some flat doors. All right, so there we are. I'm going to take a peek at this decal sheet and make sure there's no other decals that I want to put on there. I think we will call it there. Well, I might add something over. No, nothing. Good. I think we are good. So I'm just going to leave it at that. So now, obviously, we've got to let this dry, because you can't move on to the next stage with all these decals being wet. But I'll go ahead and glue these tracks on. That way the tracks will be nice and dry. And I can move on from this stage. Whoa. Really do like these tracks. You guys didn't know about these tracks. These tracks are the Sagittar conversion tracks for Land Raider tanks. They're sold on eBay by Blood and Skulls Industries. You can look up Machinator 65, I believe what it is. He's got them on there. They're good kits. He sells a multitude of awesome kits that work well with Games Workshop's plastic tanks or Forge World's tanks. They look really well, in my opinion. These tracks really do match the aesthetics of the Heresy. Yeah, boring part, I know. Damn it, we didn't turn it in to watch you glue some damn tracks on. But you Patreons, you're patient and you understand. But there we have it. Just going to let that dry. I'm going to put it over in front of the fan, let that dry. And why not work on... I'm going to work on these rhinos again. I will, while the other tank over there dries and does its thing, I realized that I didn't do the inside of the rhinos yet. I'll go ahead and lay that down to find my color. All right. I'm going to be going after this green look on the inside of my tanks. Some people might not like it. I kind of like it. It's different. So we'll go ahead and pull these bad boys apart and spray inside there. Gotta clean out some yellow first. Most people ask me, like, what do you clean your airbrush with? You know, how do you prep your brush? You know, what do you do this? What do you do that? Oh, darn. And I simply just use water in between most of my coloring. I'll just clean water, run clean water through it, take a brush, spin it around inside there. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll use cleaner. But the main thing is just continue to work the needle in and out whenever you're spraying your excess out into your catch cup. All right. So I'm going to use a Minotaur Air color to do my interior. It's boring green, I think is what it's called. Yep, boring green. It's like a funky little aqua. I'm going to tip my needle off. And then we'll rock into this green. I'm going to do the other side first. I hate not having gloves. Now, I'll do this a lot whenever I want to do panels that I want to look weathered and old. Or just, I'll focus my spray pattern in the center of this panel. And I'll let the overspray create a lot of the effects for me. Just focusing my spray on the center of the panel, and it'll give it that old, like, dirty look. It helps with the dirty look and the transitions. So we'll rock into here. I won't, like I said, I won't focus on the center of a panel. I'll focus on the center of panels instead of trying to do complete coverage, because complete coverage don't always matter. Especially if you're going to do something that's beat and weathered. I'm mainly aimed to paint the center of the panel. Now this top is still loose. I haven't glued it on. I'll be able to come in there and do some subtle detail work, and I'm not going to do nothing crazy. And when I told myself I was going to paint the inside of these, I'm only doing it because I've never done it before. And I'm not going to, I mean, it'd be easy to brush all that. Those screens, I could do some OSL on, you know, brush the panels, control panel. Back here, I'll do some weathering. I'll do some weathering powders in there. It'll look good. Now, whenever I get to the point where I'm ready to be done with the tank, I will end up gluing these on. I'm just doing it this way for now. That way, whenever you open it up to look inside there, you'll be able to see the lids. Oh, look at that. You'll be able to see the lid covered as well, is painted as well. The main reason why I left it off, or left it unglued, is to gain access with the brush inside there to do detail work as well as OSL work on those screens. There's overspray out here. It's not a big deal. Whenever I spray the yellow, it'll put a little bit of overspray on the inside, possibly. This thing looks pretty good, pretty tight fit. It's possible that could happen. Again, that won't be a big deal either. So on to the next one. Uh-oh. Got a stray hair in here. The joys of having a house full of girls. My 3 daughters plus my girlfriend, and they all shed apparently. Again, not really focusing on I'm only focusing on center pieces, center panels. And that'll help with the weathering and the transition of colors, natural shadowing. Ran out. Well, I guess it helps if I take the cap off. All right. So, again, another good example of painting this right here. I'll get it in a little bit closer just to make sure you guys can see exactly what it is I'm talking about and how I do this. Now, this is true for me. I'm painting a multitude of panels and multitude of colors. Predominantly when I paint red, I do this process a lot, especially when I do mechanicum. So, like I said, I'll focus my pattern towards the center of the panel, and I'll just do like circular motions. I won't go all the way to the edge. If you go all the way to the edge, it just gets rid of the effect that I'm looking for. It helps. I mean, you can go close to the edge with just very little trigger control, and then come back and focus your spray towards the center of the panel. You guys are getting some good stuff from me on this. This is definitely my little secrets that I like to do that really enhance the color and just gives it the weathered beat look. You can see the transition. I'll hold it still, so hopefully it'll focus. There it is. Put this together, do another final spray. And there we have it. All done. Now, clean the airbrush out. And then we will move back onto our yellow. So Again, that's Minotaur Air. That's a Badger paint. Good paint. Badger paints are thin. A lot of people complain about them being thin. They're like, oh, they're too thin. They're a pain in the ass, yada, yada, yada. It's okay if they're thin, if you just know how to use them. Multiple thin coats. Plain and simple. Don't get in a rush, and you'll be good to go. All right, so back over to get the turntable real fast. Oh no! Knocking over some kits I got drying over there. Other projects. All right, let's raise this back up. All right. Get back in here with our medium rust. That's going to be our base color. Over the black primer. Now, turntable is going to come in handy on this one. Make sure my doors are closed nice and tight. All right, and just 45-degree angle it. Get the microphone over here where you guys can make sure you guys can hear me better. So 45-degree angle. Now on the top, I'll just run the whole run it all there. Oh, we blew through that pretty quick. Now, I'm just going to grab the tracks. Being careful as not to touch the areas that I just sprayed for obvious reasons. I'll grab the sides of these. Of course, you're going to fall off. Again, I like to spray the underside of my tanks. Some people don't give a shit. Personally, I do. Isn't that going to pop pretty good? The green and that yellow is going to really pop. I might not glue those on. I might leave them where they could just fall off all the time and piss me off. But hey, at least I'll be able to really look inside. All right, let's come back over this angle. Let's get rid of some of that. Let that flash over for a minute. Help speed the process up. Get number 2 in line. All right, get our hatch closed up. Again, 45-degree angle. Don't be in a hurry. Thin coats. Ooh, I'm almost out of this. I'm going to have to make a reorder. That is no bueno. I'll probably have to buy like 4 or 5 of those things. I plan on painting a lot more Imperial Fist. My personal Imperial Fist, of course. Oh, man, it's really going. Alrighty. Do the other side. Of course, you're falling again. Doesn't have to be 100%. Because I'm low on paint. Low on my base. Alright. Now back over to number 1. And we're going to roll into, that makes me sad that's almost empty. We're going to roll into the light rust. Again, these are all MIG paints that I'm using. You know, MIG paints are fairly new to anyone that paints Games Workshop stuff or Forge World or Heroes Heresy, whatever. You don't limit yourself to the brand of paint you use. I go through spurts where I use different types of paints, different brands of paint. If you have the ability to get some of these MIG paints, MIG products in general, don't be afraid. They're really good colors. Really good product that MIG puts out. I really like the oil brushers. You guys will see that later. I'm still a few stages off from using the oil brusher. I'm not going to worry about the underside so much. Just more worried about the transitions. See that? So I got one more color to bring it up, and that's only 2 colors in. Whoa, there we go. Some decal work on these dudes whenever they dry. I won't go too crazy with decals on them. You know, I've been a staunch Mechanicum player for a while. And then I picked up some Mark IIIs from a buddy of mine. And I tried selling the Mark IIIs, had no luck. And I said, screw it, I'll just keep them because they were real Forge World. They weren't plastic, and that's pretty much the reason why I couldn't sell them. Because plastic's so much cheaper. But it was like 30 Mark III Marines, and I was like, man, I'm not going to sell these things for dirty ass cheap. They're expensive. It's Forge World, but I couldn't get anything out of them because of plastics. So the whole reason why I'm building an Imperial Fist army was because of those Marines that I could not sell. I know every Legion can use whatever mark of Marines. It doesn't matter. They all had access to all of them. But in my eyes, Mark III belongs in Death Guard or Imperial Fist. That's just me. So I said, screw it. I'll just keep them and build a Fist army. So here I am. Because a couple $100 worth of Mark III Marines, I'm into this damn army. Way more than I should be. But that's another story. That's why we all do it, I guess. All right. Back into some more colors. Okay, now I'm going to go final highlight of the yellow. Now this, I just want to focus on the high areas. Maybe a little spot right there. Just high-end spots. Focus on the sharper points. If you look at it in person, it almost looks like a Bad Moon yellow. It's really like the old Bad Moon yellow. It's like really freaking bright. But that's okay. You look at it in person, like at this stage that it's in, you're like, what the crap? Looks kind of funky. Well, that's totally fine. Because we're going to be bringing it back down with the streaking grime. Streaking grime really does its job. You can't forget, before we go into the streaking grime, we got to do our decals. Once you get the decals on, the decals are dry. You got to go ahead and seal it again. And then you can go into streaking grime. It's a process, man. It's nothing that's super fast. I mean, you can do it super fast, but it won't look like how I do them. If you like the effect that I do, you can take my recipe and grow from there on it, and just change things and tweak it to what you like. Then that's perfect. I don't want to waste this yellow that's in here, so I'll just go ahead and lay some more highlights down. Alrighty. Let's see if the old Achilles over there is ready to get sealed. I've had it under the fan for the whole time. This is how I like to work on projects. You'll notice I'll have several different pieces that I can go through at once, and typically I'll be in a few different stages, so that way I could work in between stages and I can maximize my time. Obvious, if everything was worked to the same stage, then there'd be a lot more time wasted sitting around phone boning or getting lost in the abyss that is YouTube. Which, hey, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can get sucked into my abyss. It sounded way terrible. You know what I mean. All right. I'm going to rinse this thing out really good because I am going to be transitioning to a clear. I'm going to do this I'll do a satin varnish. Maybe. Going to be using a MIG satin varnish to seal the Achilles. Oh yeah. See, looky there. Nice and dry. Everything's on there. Conforms to the surface really well. All right, so on to this stage of the process. Now you can use dull coat, Tester's dull coat. I still use this just because I have so many different cans of it. Or so many cans of it. I think I've got like 10 cans of it still to go through. But once I go through those cans, I'm not going to buy any more. I'm just going to buy the airbrush equivalent of varnish and just stick with that. Nothing against dull coat. Works really well. But it's just I'm going through and just going to stick with airbrush varnish because I like it a little bit more. I've tried using some of the Vallejos before. I didn't like how they turned out. But MIG, again, to tell you about this again, MIG products, I've found that these products are really nice. Now, I don't get any kickback from MIG. I'm not getting paid to advertise anything from MIG. I don't get paid to advertise anything for anybody. These are all just my opinions upon stuff that I've found, and stuff that I found that works really well. I don't mind sharing with everyone. So, without further ado, let's lay on some damn satin. So, lay it on there. Get some good coverage. You want good, solid coverage for this stage. Ooh. She got that little piece. The piece that keeps wanting to fall off. Bastard. Well, it's important to get all this sealed, because these are the areas that I plan on doing the streak and grime. I've already blown through that. So you want this all to be sealed really good. If you don't seal it very good and let it dry, like I'm going to have to let it dry for a good little bit. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to show y'all. Possibility I'm not going to be able to show y'all the streak and grime part, because this has got to dry. I wish I was able to, because streak and grime is actually the magic part. Back over in front of the fan. Oh, get a little bit more of this on here. A couple more drops. It's that piece that covers up the quad mortar that goes on the front of the Achilles. There we go. Alrighty then. So, got a fair amount accomplished tonight. I didn't want to break this up into 2 videos, but it happened. I'm learning. Like always, I'm learning. I'm not the most tech-savvy person out there. But I'm going to let these dry a little bit more. And I'm going to seal them, and then I'll do decals on them as well. But you at least get an idea how I do my yellows. This is the majority of the process that goes into me doing yellows. It starts with the base work. If you do really good base work, you finish and do your decals, you finish up with streak and grime. Now, I will do the rest of the streak and grime in a video so you guys can see just how it looks and how it works and how to use it. All it really takes is your streak and grime, some white spirits. I've got some white spirits I picked up from Hobby Lobby. It's Winsor Newton, and an old rag. Because basically what you're going to do is, how I do it anyways, is I'll do a couple dabs of the streak and grime on my palette. I'll reduce it. I'll do it 50-50. And then I will run it all over the model. And before it dries completely, I will take a rag and just drag down. It's kind of like staining wood. If you've ever stained any piece of wood, you want your direction of your strokes to be uniform. You don't want it all over the place to look like shit. So just basically take it and drag down. Once you've applied the streak and grime to the model, before it has had a chance to dry, you drag it down. You do that, overlapping, just like you would when you're mowing the grass, all the way across the model, all the way across all the panels. Now, I've got a piece of old T-shirt, but if you're like Michael Longo over there, he likes to use a pair of old nasty jank-ass boxers. So it looks like it's covered in shit whenever whenever it's not being used. So I'm going to go ahead and just wind it down. Like I said, unfortunately, yeah, rocking my Age of Darkness podcast. It's fucking so metal. I love those guys. Anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to continue to start doing these a little bit more often. I know I've always said that in the last couple months. It's just been real hectic. I really wanted to. It's been crazy hectic. So all of my Patreon supporters, I thank you. I greatly thank you for your support. And in turn, I'm going to hold up my end of the deal, and I'm going to put out some content for you. You'll notice that everything's still left the way it was. You are only getting charged whenever I upload content. In this instance, it was a 2-step process. Sorry, but if you have your Patreon support set at a max amount, then you'll only be charged what you'd be charged for your max amount for the month. But I'm going to work on trying to get a couple more up. I know I'm off the week after Christmas. I went ahead and took that off. So I'll be trying to knock out some more commission work, as well as squeezing in some more of my Imperial Fist. I don't know how much I'll be able to squeeze in, but I'm going to try to squeeze some of them in. I've got to do it like a little bit here and there, just because I've got to do the commissions first. So I don't want to keep stacking up with that. I've still got 4 Warlords in the pipe. So the Warlords will be some weathering on the Warlords will be something that I can show everyone how I do the weathering. You'd be surprised at how much weathering you can actually do with an airbrush, and it looks good. Of course, I use weathering powders and pigment fixer and all that. But I'll be showing you in the coming months, as I rode to Adepticon, basically. I'll be showing you the processes and the weathering and just all of that. I'll try to pass on as much of my knowledge that I've gained and I've picked up over the years. Again, I've not taken any classes. I'm 100% self-taught. Up to this point, I'm 100% self-taught. So I don't mind passing the knowledge on what I've learned over the last 3 or 4 years I've been doing this. Doing just the airbrush part, I don't mind passing that on at all. So I guess we'll wind it down. I gotta let all this shit dry. If I'm able to get these things to a stage tonight where I can go ahead and do the streaking rhyme, then I will post that up on Patreon, and you can look at it whenever you get time. I won't charge for that one, because that'd be a little bit ridiculous, hitting y'all for 3 videos in one night. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for your support. And if you have any more ideas of certain things, that the way I do stuff, or the models that I post on Black Label Painting on Facebook, if you have anything on there that you want to learn, drop me a line through Patreon. I think you can do that. Yeah, you can do that. Drop me a line through Patreon, just requesting what you want to see. And I'll see if I can't make it happen. Again, guys, thanks. And I will catch y'all on the flip side.